Good morning. My name is Andrea Harasny, and I'm the Development and Alumni Relations Officer here at Notre Dame. Thank you for joining us today as we've gathered to launch the nomination process for the Father Athol Murray Award. If anyone has their cell phones, you can silence them now. This is mostly for the staff. Mine is actually on the podium, and I'm just going to cross my fingers that it's already off. We have our guest presenter, obviously, in the house on Zoom, Tim Maloney. I will introduce him officially in just a couple moments, but I do want to take this opportunity to give the new students and staff some background on this award and our nomination process. So this year will be our 12th annual Father Athol Murray Award. It's a prestigious award that came about by a group of alum who were very passionate about PAIR's influence. So they wanted to recognize a current student who over the course of the academic year best exemplifies some of those many characteristics, principles, and ideals of PAIR. Each spring, this Notre Dame student that has been chosen will receive their own personalized plaque at Alumni Weekend. They'll have their name inscribed on a plaque that hangs over in the entrance of Varsity Hall, and they also receive a check for $1,000. So the recipient is going to be a student who embodies the awareness of the spiritual. They demonstrate leadership through deeds and actions. They communicate effectively and inspire others. They show exemplary moral conduct, coupled with the courage to act with their own conviction. They represent their peers and the larger community, and they're sensitive to social and cultural values. So that sounds like a lot of things, but we as staff and students see that all the time. So over the next few months, we're asking that students, faculty members, staff will nominate a student for this award. The nomination process is through Microsoft Forms, and they will go to Tom Shoebridge, class of 62, who chairs the selection committee. Nominations will be made till April 1st. So like I said, we have a few months, and this sounds like it might be quite complicated, but really what we want from you is to recognize a student or peer, and then give us a couple sentences about why you think they might be deserving of this award. Okay, so it's not paragraphs, it's not a huge essay. We just want a few of your thoughts on why someone might be resembling and exemplifying characteristics of PAIR. There'll be lots of emails that come out from the Development and Alumni Office regarding this. We'll give you lots of reminders. If at any time over the next couple months you have questions, reach out to myself, Dave Harasny, and or Lilla Carpenter-Bush. Okay, so if you have questions or want to know more about it, you can ask us at any time. Now, we'll turn our attention over to Tim Maloney, our guest speaker. Tim is a prairie boy at heart. Having grown up on a farm near Ryston, Saskatchewan, he and his wife, Karen, now live in North Saanich, BC. Together, they have a blended family of 6 children and 8 grandchildren. Tim tries to live his life according to the axiom, have hope, take risks, and seek harmony, but above all, be kind. This lends to the fact that for more than 40 years, Tim has worked in the not-for-profit world, leading organizations like Mercy Ships Canada, as well as the United Way in both Regina and Victoria. Campaigns he has led have raised more than $110 million for organizations that are working to make the world a little bit better for those they serve by moving their missions from dreams to reality. Today, Tim and his wife Karen have a consulting practice called Emergo Philanthropy. They support smaller nonprofit organizations, and they're both heavily involved in their communities, and they volunteer in a number of capacities. Tim is an 8-year hound. He began his Notre Dame experience in 1964 when he started as a grade 8 student, and then he graduated with a BA in 1973. So at that time, the college was affiliated with the University of Ottawa, and students would often stay for a number of years after high school, completing and pursuing a university education. So I asked him what he was involved with when he was younger, and he proceeded to give me a lengthy list of what he did when he was a student here. And much of those things are similar to what you guys are involved in right now. He played hockey and lacrosse. He was in the choir. He participated in public speaking and debate club. He was part of the Newshound editorial committee. He edited yearbooks, and he played football while he was in the arts program. He was also president of the student council and a shack leader. And I'm guessing they weren't all at the exact same time, but over the course of that many years, Tim was an engaged student. Tim, since then, has also worked at the college, having served as the Dean of Students, the Director of Alumni and Development, and most recently as the Director of the Centennial Campaign, raising funds for some of the new buildings that you guys are learning in today. During these years, he was honored to have worked with 6 presidents at the college, and throughout his career, his focus has remained on a challenge that was presented to him, as it is to all hounds, by PAIR. Dream your dream, make it a great dream, and dream it greatly. It's my pleasure to turn this over and officially kick off the nomination process to Tim so he can share some of his PAIR stories with us. Can you please help me in welcoming our guest speaker, Tim Maloney?
Thank you, Andrea. First things first, there's a whole lot of smiling faces out there, I think, or maybe not smiling. Who's that beside you in the front row, Dave? She seems to be a little concerned about being on the screen. It's okay. It's okay. One of the things that PAIR always said to us was, plot your life, create a course for the life you're going to live. It's a wonderful thing for all of us to have done and to continue to do. He connected with my life in some interesting ways. My parents, my father was Catholic, my mother was a Protestant, and when they went and saw the local priest in those days, this is 75 years ago, the priest said, doesn't matter what you're going to do, you're going to go to hell because those are against the rules of the church. One of my father's older brothers had gone to Notre Dame, and so my dad knew PAIR. So they went to visit PAIR, and his one question to them was, do you love one another? And they said, yes, PAIR, we do. And he said, then go get married. So in reality, him instructing my parents to get married, I'm here because of that. So it's one of those strange little pieces. My first encounter with PAIR was in 1964, the spring of 64. We were leaving Royston, which is only, if you go out the 4 Mile Road and go another 14 miles, you're in Royston. We have Lilith, who is there from Gray, and Hunter Moon, who's sitting in there somewhere. Her great grandfather and my grandfather had a harvest crew together. So these connections of where we go, and some of the first shacks that came to Notre Dame came from Royston. So we leave Royston, and the closest way to Moose Jaw is through Wilcox. Driving through Wilcox, PAIR's crossing the street, and my parents said to my brother and I, you guys have never met PAIR, we should stop and say hi. So we did. We never saw our grandmother that day. We spent the day with PAIR. And at the end of that day, and in the next couple of weeks, my parents said, would you like to go to Notre Dame? And I fell in love with the idea and the dream of this adventure. They had said to us many times, we only have one thing to give you, and that's an education, because we'll never be able to give you anything else. My parents were simple working folk. So I arrive in the fall of 64, and this may sound a little bit strange. When I went to Notre Dame, it was the first place I lived that had a flush toilet. The world was a little different back there then, 60 years ago, or now 62 years ago. But when I arrived, one of the things you learned very quickly, and you will have all have learned that already, is that everybody has a role. Everybody has a responsibility in a community that grows around the core ideas of what Notre Dame represents. And for PAIR, that was for each and every one of us, hounds, me, 75 years old, you 14 to 18 or whatever the difference is, that you have to make a self-determination of what your life is going to be. That's not making a plan and then following the plan to the letter. It's about understanding who you are. What's the strength that's within you? Where do I fit in the world? Where do I make sense? He would challenge us all the time, like was said earlier. Dream your dream. If you can dream it, you can make it happen. It's not complicated. It's simply about understanding that you think that way, that your mind is open. He used to say to us that the most powerful thing in the world is a human idea. And where do they come from? They come from within us. One of the things he did while he was there, and sometimes we as hounds would go, why is he doing that? We're hungry. I can remember when the bronze doors went on the Tower of God and we were eating Maloney. And we were saying the money could be better spent feeding us. But the reality was we were never really hungry. But he left these pieces behind. And he didn't leave them written on cardboard with a marker. He had these things, words, thoughts, ideas cast in bronze. The next time you go into varsity, maybe not the next time, sometime when you're in varsity and you're not in a hurry, stop, turn around and look at the plaque on the wall that talks about the Notre Dame ideal. And while you're reading that through the window, you can see the Tower of God, which represents something that is way beyond what the world was even thinking about in those days and sometimes in these days. He created the tower as a representation of humanity. Those three primary religions, the monotheistic religions that believed in one God. They all believed in the same God and a different way to get there. And he used to talk about the primacy of the Spirit that's within each and every one of us. And I said, it's not about religion. It's about you and your relationship with God. And that's this. I know that challenges. What do you mean a relationship with God? Well, here's one of the things that over the years I've thought about. And one, you need to educate yourself about what those things are. So I'm encouraging you all to make sure you spend time on the website to understand what each and every one of those windows in the church represents. They all are there for a specific reason, to have us think. Spend time in the tower. You don't have to spend hours in there. Go in, read one plaque, spend a little time with it. Leave, come back, do those things many times. There's a window in Mother Teresa Hall over the arch, over the big, and that the concept of that window came to me one day when I was sitting in that church by myself. Every now and then I'd just go in and think. And that's when I'm talking about having a conversation with God. Having this, you're just thinking, you're letting your mind go free and think. I had the idea that why do we just have these windows in the church? And it's well, okay, doesn't make any sense. So I literally called the donor who was funding Mother Teresa Hall and said, I have an idea, but my idea is going to cost you about $25,000. And I told him what the idea was, that we would put a window in the church that represented Mother Teresa. He loved it. He had the money. He could do it. One of the things that he did when we were building that residence was he created the concept of the works of mercy. That was part of what he felt was important for us to add to the value of the education at Notre Dame. Though that concept of the works of mercy is really about community. That donor, the most important things in his life were his family and his work in the community. He was is a very successful businessman, but he felt when he served meals at the soup kitchen, he was touching other people in a human way that made a difference. He wasn't preaching to them or any of those things. He was just being someone who made a difference in their lives. So I encourage you to go out, find the books. Find the books like this that say Pair on the front of them, or the Notre Dame Legacy, and understand little bits at a time. It's not a long-term study that you have to spend hours and hours at. I know you do these things in Shack. Spend more time with it yourself. It will make a difference in your life. Learn to tell stories. You may have heard some of the stories of Per. Per would always tell us about the bronze statues that he helped erect in Penetang in like 1910 or some I can't remember the dates. And I, as a young hound, would hear these stories, and I can remember that when I went to Penetang to look for these statues, I drove past them 4 times because they're only about 2.5 feet tall on some stone plinths as you enter the town. In my mind, the stories that he had told, they were statues like the Sacred Heart that's in the square or the circle where the flags are. Tell a story, share it. One of the things that he did for me was open the door to understanding that community is everything. It is what you make of your life. Challenged you to do something that made a difference. Over the years, he wanted us also to be loyal. Loyal to Notre Dame. Loyal to the ideas that are presented to you there. And loyal to the hounds that you meet, you become friends with. I have a Notre Dame grade 9 classmate who I see almost every day. We talk about different things. I have there's a hound in Regina whose son is my godson. We talk regularly. You will find those people. It may not be thousands or hundreds or anything, but stay connected to them. Stay over the years, over the generations that will come. There's another piece about staying with the generations. Try to get to know when alumni are around the campus who they are, what they did, what accomplishments they made. And the one thing you will always hear from old hounds is, well, it was way tougher in my day. It was way harder for us to make a living. Well, the reality is Wilcox is in the middle of nowhere, and you're there. You're fighting through this, what you just had a really ugly cold snap. Those things happen. They build the character in you, right? On the top of the website today, it says God, Canada, and hockey, and not always in that order. Was one of the ways that Per would start stories. I can tell you that today he would be grateful for the Prime Minister of Canada and grateful that the Prime Minister has told the world what he believes we as a country stand for. I'm encouraging you to spend time getting to know Notre Dame, getting to know what Per's ideas were. I'm gonna go back to what Andrea said about this axiom that I try to follow my life with. An axiom is just simply just a simple truth. Have hope, take risks, and seek harmony. But above all, be kind. Have hope comes from my experience of trying to have faith, to have an understanding that while things may be gloomy, we need to always look towards something that's positive. So having hope is integral in our lives. I used to say take care all the time. And then one day I was visiting with a friend, and he was talking about going for a walk with an older gentleman he met on the trail. And as the paths parted, my friend Chris said to the older man, take care. And the old guy stopped, turned around, stood right in front of Chris's face and said, I will not take care. If I take care, I don't get anywhere. I have to take risks. So that notion of taking a risk, stepping out of your comfort zone. And as you move into the world, one of the things you will always hear people say is work-life balance. It's going to be great. You make sure your work-life balance comes together and you'll have a great, happy life. Doesn't work. But try and seek something that's harmonic. Think about a symphony or a great piece of music. Sometimes one piece of instrument or something is louder than the other. You will have to make changes in your life to do that. And finally, above all, be kind. Kindness is the greatest gift we can give to one another. When somebody is hurting, when somebody is doing that, just reach out, be kind. Or don't say that stupid thing in your head that you know will put somebody down or not. And finally, I have something that I need to hear from you. And I'm gonna say 4 words, and I want to hear you say them back to me, and I'll say them one at a time to begin with. I. Louder. I make a louder difference. So let's put them all together. I make a difference. I can't hardly hear anybody, and I'm not seeing a bunch of mouths moving. So this is a reminder that you need to speak up, that you make a difference in the world, and that it will change the community that you live in. Be engaged. Thank you.
Thank you, Tim. That was awesome.
Close to my
I'll call Cole up now.
Hello, my name is Cole Fox and I'm from Gravelbourg, Saskatchewan. I'm a grade 12 student and this is my first year at Notre Dame. On behalf of the staff and students, I want to thank you for joining us today. You told some great stories about how prayer influenced your life. We know you're not able to receive a thank you gift in person, but let's try a virtual high five and we will send you a gift in the mail.
Thanks, Cole. In grade 9, we went. There's a statue in Gravelbourg of Archbishop Mathieu, which the college in Gravelbourg is named after. We took a copy of that statue in the back of a pickup truck from Wilcox to Gravelbourg and drove back and forth that day. We stopped at 2 different restaurants to eat, and we had bacon and eggs both times. Perry used to say, if a restaurant can make bacon and eggs, they can make anything. What it was the cheapest thing on the menu, and more than likely the restaurateur would give it to us.
Okay, there goes the whole, meet a hound and they'll tell you a story. Tim, thanks so much for your ongoing commitment to the college. We were thrilled to have you speak to us today. I just want to take a quick moment to also thank Tom Shoebridge. He assists us in helping guest speakers for today to kick off this nomination process, but also find someone who has a connection or was here when Per was here to help us with the award presentation in May. So thank you, Tom, for always helping with that committee and organizing this. Students and staff, just one last reminder, of course, you're going to see emails from our office. Those will come out in the coming days. And remember, the nomination, can be short and sweet, or it can be a little bit longer if you have more to say about one of your classmates. We will end our assembly this morning with the Hail Mary and then the singing of our Notre Dame Prayer and Victory March. So please stand. Take a moment to decide who you would like to say this prayer for. And all together, please. Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with thee. Blessed art thou among women, and blessed is the fruit of thy womb, Jesus. Holy Mary, Mother of God, pray for us sinners now and at the hour of our death. Amen. In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. And we'll send it over to Lisa for our prayer and victory march.
We pledge to thee our love and our devotion. We beg thee hear and grant our prayer. Oh, guide our steps and lead us safely onward through all the years with loving care. What though the odds be great and the song of Notre Dame will win over all, while her loyal hands are marching onward to victory. Cheer, cheerful, O Notre Dame, wake up the echoes, cheering her name. Send a lofty cheer on high, take down the thunder from the sky. But though the odds be great or small, O Notre Dame will win over all, while her loyal hands are marching onward to victory. Cheer, cheerful, O Notre Dame, wake up the echoes, cheering her name. And now we feel my heart, put down colors in the sky, but we have to great song, and everything will be all around, while the loyal hands are marching onward to victory. Okay.